Hi, I'm Larry, and this is Carter's Country. Today I got Craig Summers here with me from SDS, and we're going to talk a little bit about installing a red dot optic on a pistol. Walk you through the process of installing an optic properly on your pistol. And I stress properly because it can be done wrong.
It can. There's, but for the most part, this is going to how red dot installations. It's going to pretty much be the same across all pistol manufacturers. Some you might have a plate. Right here we have our tisas duty double stack with a Holosun EPS carry.
tisas. Great. One thing, and this is a tip from a non-pro. If you're installing one of these and you're using the blue Loctite type stuff, put a paper towel or use your gun mat that you bought on your dining room table, because in a survey group of 1, I've determined wives do not like blue Loctite on their dining room table, and may God have mercy on your soul if she walks in before you get a chance to clean it up. So like I said, a non-pro tip for you there. I'm going to turn it back over to the guy that actually knows what he's doing.
Before we go into it, guys, a couple things you want to make sure that you have. Make sure you have a red dot that is set for the gun that you want to mount it on. Delta Point Pros won't mount on an RMR unless you have adapters, so just make sure you do your homework. A couple other things that you're going to need. Make sure you have either a paint pen or a Sharpie for witness marks after we install. Blue thread locker, I cannot stress this enough. Blue thread locker. And then some type of torque wrench, because these screws need to be torqued down to a certain spec. I have a Wheeler, I think this is a fat wrench. You can use fix-it sticks, but any type of torque wrench where you can actually set the value is what you need to go with, because you can over tighten these things. And then before we begin, the screws that you use to mount your red dot, make sure they are a Torx bit, not an Allen. If they are an Allen head, it's not if, it's when that head will shear off. And then you've got to drill out the screw to get the red dot off of it. Ask me how I know.
Kind of like my dining room table deal.
Yeah,
you've lived and learned.
Yeah. So guys, learn from my mistakes. Make sure those screws are Torx. But without further ado, let's dive in and kind of show you guys how we install this. So we got our tisas duty double stack with our Holosun EPS carry. Before you guys begin with your screws, once again, I've already mounted this red dot, but with your screws, if you have any type of film on there, some protectant to keep it from rusting, make sure to use some alcohol. Clean all those threads off before you install. I have put just a drop of blue Loctite or blue thread locker on each of the screws. So first off, we're going to take our optic, make sure that the optic's cut's clean, there's nothing in there, and we're going to set it down completely on top. And I'm doing this at an angle, and you want to make sure, once again, guys, that you set that optic exactly into that pocket. The tisas optics cuts are very, very tight tolerance, which is what I prefer. And there's some people that try to go in at an angle and it's not gonna go in. So make sure you drop that thing exactly as is. So as we have that in there, I'm gonna make sure that there's no space between the top of the cut and the bottom of the slide. I'm going to take each screw and I'm just gonna drop it in. And then without using the torque wrench, I'm just going to get the screws started, just to make sure that they don't come out. Cool, so I've got those started. All right, let's talk about torque values. TSOS recommends no more than a max inch-pound setting of 11.9 or 12. Because if anything is worth doing well, it's worth overdoing. I really set all mine at 14 inch-pounds. So with my fat wrench, I can easily set that up. And so once I've got these screwed, I'm gonna go ahead, finish it. Screw all these down. I'm not gonna go all the way yet until I get both screws kind of fully engaged. Now I can't really go further. Now we get to go in. We're going to turn. You'll hear and feel that click when that torque setting is done properly. Yep. So that's done. Once I like to go back just to double check it. Cool. So it is set right. Want to make sure that there's no space from the bottom of the optic to the top of the rail. Where the paint pen comes in, what we're going to do is we're going to put some witness marks on top of the screws so that it's a visual indicator if the screws start to back out. So as long as you use blue thread locker and it's torqued to the proper spec, this shouldn't have an issue, but want to have an extra insurance policy on there. So we're just going to take, I like a silver Sharpie because it shows up on black. We're just going to put a simple dot right there. It shows up on the optic and the screw. Once again, pretty straightforward. You guys can kind of see those witness marks. And that's pretty straightforward. Just make sure that the optics cut's clean. Your screws are clean, free from any type of lubricant or protective film as they come from the factory. Clean that off with alcohol. One little drop of blue Loctite, torque it to the right spec, and then put your witness marks, and you should not have any issues. So once we've got the optic installed, one last bit that you can do is after you shoot 50, 100 rounds through the gun, go back with your torque wrench and just double check to make sure that the screws are not loose. It's just, once again, one more insurance policy that we can add to make sure that everything is set. Other than that, keep your batteries changed out once every year. I usually try to set that as either the first of the year or your birthday. So any optics that you have on any of your red dots, even though that they can last longer, guys, just change that out once a year on a set date. Yeah, pretty straightforward. It's pretty much the same for any red dot. Just make sure that the red dot is compatible with the optic that you are mounting it on, and that you are using the correct torque specs, because you can strip a screw out if you go too tight. But pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it is. And but like you said, getting them too tight, too loose, having the right head on the screw. I mean, there's some things that can get you kind of in the ditch on this if you don't know some of the setup and get started stuff. Now, when you were talking about purchasing the pistol and the red dot and making sure they're compatible, if you're going to take advantage of that great offer that we're having, and purchasing your pistol and your optic to get the discount and sign up for the class and things, certainly when you're here at Carter's Country, our sales representatives will make sure that what you're buying is compatible, so that you've got the fit and the setup that you really want with it. Because it is a bad feeling, you get one thing here, get it all home, you're all excited, and then you realize, something's got to go back to the store. Yeah. So that kind of stinks. So.
And then we also have on our website, you can go to SDSimports.com, and they'll have the torque specs, which optics cut, what's compatible with, all that stuff. And then, so a lot of that information is already out there on the interwebs.
Absolutely, yeah. From the gun manufacturer or the optic manufacturer, 100% on their page should be telling you what footprint and what's compatible with what. So
just remember, when you mount the red dot, we also have to make sure to zero it, to make sure that it is zeroed at the distance that we want, not necessarily to your iron sights. We're going to go in that pretty deeply during the class. And so if you guys are interested, you might want to take advantage of the program, the 10% off the pistol, the optic, and then sign up for the class at no cost, because we're going to go over a lot of that stuff. And but yeah, make sure the red dot needs to be sighted in. It does not come from the factory sighted in.
Yeah, that's a great point. And to say something again about the value of that class, having someone that knows what they're doing, helping you zero that in, will save you a lot of time, frustration, and ammunition. So again, if you're at all thinking about getting into the red dot game with a pistol, really need to take advantage of this offer. It's just invaluable to have all of that available to someone new to this red dot thing.
Yeah, I've been carrying a red dot since 2018. several hundred hours of training with the red dot, and so just want to try to or give some of that knowledge to you guys, those of you that are interested. So kind of want to let y'all know, share some of that information that I've learned throughout the years.
Fantastic. All right, well, thanks again for joining us, and remember, if you've ever shopped, shot, or hunted with us, you're already a part of the Carter's Country family. Until next time, adios.